we simply throw things away when we're done using them, be it a cup, an old shirt, or a used battery. But we can do a lot better. Let's find out how.
I thought I can get a bunch of people together and we can just create this beautiful product while not being wasteful, while paying people correctly, while not throwing things into the garbage can.
Our goal is to recover 95% of our nickel, which is the most expensive, most valuable ore, including aluminum and copper, of course.
We are successfully managing waste in this small town with a limited number of people, resources, and market. If we can do that here, it would definitely be possible in larger towns that have many advantages over us.
Why is strategic autonomy such a fundamental pillar of Indian foreign policy? How is it manifesting in India's current diplomacy around the world? And what is the future of strategic autonomy as India rises to the status of a leading power in the world?
We are saying that it's not only about strategic autonomy of India, it's also about strategic autonomy of other nations, including Taiwan and Tibet. And that's where we are putting China into the spot.
We just don't bring you the news as it unfolds. We get to the heart of the matter.
We don't just present facts, we demystify complex social, political and economic events.
We break stories that shape the world's present and future because you deserve the truth.
I am Tanvi Taneja from New Delhi.
I'm Ollie Barrett from London.
I'm Nick Harper from Washington, D.C.
Join us on DD India Global Monday to Friday at these times.
Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Preeti Kaur. Coming up in the next 1 hour. Paris Olympics gets off to a glittering start with grand opening ceremony at Seine River. 10,500 athletes to compete in 329 medal events over 15 days. Indian athletes to be in action today in shooting, badminton, tennis and hockey. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu meets Republican candidate for President Donald Trump in Florida. Calls the relations good between the two. Trump calls Harris' remarks on Gaza conflict disrespectful. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi to chair federal policy think tank NITI Aayog's 9th Governing Council meeting on Saturday to focus on Viksit Bharat 2047 document to make India a developed nation. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar holds meetings with counterparts on the sidelines of ASEAN, says political, economic and security cooperation with ASEAN is of utmost priority. Nation remembers Missile Man of India and People's President Bharat Ratna Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam on his 9th death anniversary. All right, let's begin with all the updates on Paris Olympics 2024. The Paris Olympics 2024 got off to a glittering ceremony on Friday with an unprecedented and ambitious show with close to 7,000 athletes parading down the River Seine alongside some of Paris's most famous landmarks. The ceremony saw heavy rain as well, but it failed to dampen the spirit of the thousands present. The Indian contingent was led by PV Sindhu and Sharat Kamal. For the first time in Olympic history, the opening ceremony took place outside the main stadium with some 300,000 people watching in person from specially built stands on the river's banks. A fleet of barges took the competitors on a 6-kilometer stretch of the river as performers entertained spectators watching from the banks of the river. Two Indian teams will be in action in the 10 meters air rifle mixed team qualification event as India begin their hunt for medals as early as the opening day. Shooters and badminton stars will also begin their campaign in Paris on Saturday. DD India's Narayan Singh brings us full schedule of Indian athletes on day one of the Games.
Today is an important day for the Indian squad at the Paris Olympics. India will start their campaign with shooting. The 10-meter air rifle mixed team qualification starts at 12:30 p.m. The first team consists of Ramita Jindal and Arjun Babuta, and in the second team, which will consist of Valarivan and young shooter Sandeep Singh. Both the teams need to finish in the top 4 to qualify for the gold medal match here in Paris. If we talk about the next event, that is 10-meter air rifle pistol men's qualification in shooting, features Sarabjot Singh and Arjun Singh Shima. At 2 p.m., they need to finish in the top 10 to advance to the finals. In the tennis, Rohan Bopanna and Anshri Ram Balaji will compete against Ribol F and Roger Vaseline in men's doubles round of 32 at 3:30 p.m. They must need to win to qualify for the round of 16. And the 10-meter air rifle pistol women's qualification in shooting begins at 4 p.m. with Manu Bhakar and Rhythm Sangwan participating. And they need to finish in the top 10 to qualify for the finals. And now talking about badminton, where Lakshya Sen will face Kevin Cordon in the men's singles group stage at the around it, we can say that the evening 7 p.m. A win is necessary to move into the knockout stage here for the team. And talking about table tennis, Harmeet Desai will play against Jay Dabo in the men's singles starting round at around 7 p.m. He needs to win this match to enter to the main draw of the round of 64. And talking about badminton, where India's top shuttler duo Satvik Swairaj and Chirag Shetty will compete in the men's doubles. It will be around 8 p.m. And after that, we can say that here they need to win to top the group. While our Indian men's hockey team will play against the New Zealand in a pool match. It is around 9 p.m. And in badminton, another match, Ponappa and Castro will face the Hong Kong team. After that, we can say that in the next match in boxing, Preeti Pawar will compete against Thi Kim Anho in the women's 54 kg category in the round of 32. And here she needs to win to advance to the round of 16. So this was a roundup of the schedule from Paris on the day 1 of the coveted games.
Our correspondent Narayan Singh is joining us from Paris. Narayan, good morning. Now we have the schedule for the players who are going to be in action on the first day. What are the expectations and who all are going to be the key medal players today?
Definitely, it could be a historic day for India, considering the fact that we have the world-class shooter, and in shooting event, it could be a golden day for India, considering the fact that in rifle mixed event, we have Valarivan will be there along with Sandeep, and Arjun Babuta will be there with Ramita. So the duo in the two events can do miracle for the India and could boost the morale of the Indian campaign by winning the medals at the coveted event in Paris, and also the qualification event of the pistol. Manu Bhakar will be there, and in hockey, India will face New Zealand, and in rowing there will be our athletes, in boxing, in badminton. So it's a start of we can say a new era for the Indian sports. If today our team wins a medal here, definitely is going to be a groundbreaking here, and we know the class of our shooter, the kind of performance they had delivered in the past, especially if you talk about our 21-member young shooting contingent. Their average age is around 22, and it's a young shooting squad. And the way they have performed in the Asian Games, they won the record number of medals and broke all the previous records at the Asian Games. Swift course Samra in the women's section, Manu Bhakar is there, Aisha Singh is there, Valarivan is there. They are highly talented, and all of them has a potential here to win a medal at the Olympics. But apart from that, if you go to the men's section, we have the young Arjun Babuta, and apart from that also we have the young shooter like Vijay Singh Sidhu, Sandeep Singh. So all in all, we have a huge expectation from these young shooters, and shooting will be the event which will help India to cross the double-digit mark. If Indian shooters can win here 2 or 3 medals for the India, definitely we can so dream a double-digit number here at the Paris Games. And after that, when the tournament will progress in the track and field, definitely Neeraj Chopra, we know that he is capable to do anything, and he won every medal on the table, and defending the Olympic gold will be a huge challenge for him, and we are hoping that he can do, because he is the one of the best athletes in the world.
All right, so India is eyeing double-digit medals, Narayan, but then the Indian government has also made immense efforts in providing the best to the Indian contingent. How do you see that?
Definitely, we can say that a good boost for the player. There is no denying that our athletes have done immense hard work. They are 24/7, they are doing hard work, but the initiative by the government, we can say that is immense. When we talk to the players, they say that whatever were their demands, whatever they are asking, whether it is equipment, whether it is a training facility in a specific stadium, everything we can say is granted immediately. The foreign exposure was the most important thing. In the past, it was, we can say that getting the foreign exposure 10 years ago was a rare commodity, but now our players under the top schemes are practicing outside India. A large number of players here who came to Paris directly came from Germany, from Sweden, from South Africa, from many other places of the world where they were training. So huge amount has been invested in them, and definitely we are hoping that with the confluence of the support from the system and their hard work, definitely they will do something, they will do better than the Tokyo here. The most important thing is that at the immense level, the sports science has been introduced in our sporting system. Right here in Paris, we have an expert of 13 expert doctors are there under the, we can say, the tutelage of the Dr. Dimshaw Pediwala, who is one of the best name in the sports medicine in the world. He is here and mentoring our athletes, helping them. Physiotherapist is there, sleep therapist is there. It's the most important thing. The PM Modi talked to athletes when he was interacting with them. Take a proper sleep, and the proper sleep is also a mantra of success, because we know that all our athletes are excited, because if they have a competition next day, definitely because of excitement, sometimes they couldn't get a proper sleep. So a sleep therapist is also with them. So all these factors, definitely I think that's going to help our team, and the way they are training, they were looking physically totally fit. So this time around, we're hoping that it's going to be a huge number in terms of medal for the India in Paris.
All right, every little thing is being taken care of by the Indian government. Thank you so much, Narayan, for joining in. And still with updates from Paris Olympics in boxing, India is fielding a 6-member boxing team at Paris Games who will fight for glory. DD India's Narayan Singh talked to the Indian boxing team physiotherapist Soumya Jyoti Haldar at an athlete village on the chances of Indian boxing team earning gold medals. Take a listen in.
The Indian team is ready to shine at the Paris Games, and right now I am joined by the physiotherapist of the boxing team, Soumya Jyoti Haldar. Soumya, a very warm welcome. You are here in the Games Village with the athletes. So what different is with the Games Village this time around? Give some close view, synopsis. What kind of facilities are there in the Games Village for the players?
Yeah, first of all, thank you for this. Basically, like as compared to Asian Games, the organizing committee, they basically make all the arrangement eco-friendly. Like if you see the bed and all, they make with the cardboards, so there is no wooden thing as used. And plus the cooling facility, basically they use the groundwater system. The internal pipelines are going inside the walls, and they have provided. I'm thankful to our IOC committee. They have provided a pedestrian friend to each and every room, and the weather is so pleasant as compared to our India. Plus the food quality is good. Earlier they are facing problem, but now everything is managed so well, and we are getting too much for good facilities from IOC India.
What are the chances of the Indian boxer taking into their fitness condition, as you are the physiotherapist of the team?
Yeah, boxers are like in health wise and fitness, they're perfectly fine. They are too excited and they're completely fit for the upcoming tournament. And yes, they are super excited for the upcoming game. And tomorrow we have a bout. Preeti is going to win, and hopefully we'll get maximum medals in a boxing, and we'll look forward to good.
So the Indian squad is looking forward to win medals at the Paris Games, as the physiotherapist of the boxing team, Soumya, told about the games village where athletes are living, and it's a eco-friendly village where athletes are getting all sorts of facilities. And the most important thing is that all the norms are there to make the games greenest games of all time. With camera person Senthil, Narayan Singh for DD India, Paris.
All right, Paris Games are not only the greatest sporting spectacle for the athletes, but also for fans and supporters who come together to make the games engaging and alive. Some fans and volunteers chase the simpler joys of life during the 2-week-long summer games, and at the top of their wish list is trading Olympic pins, which has become an integral part of Olympic tradition. One such fan is Germany's Jörg Speicher, a dedicated pin collector since the 1992 Barcelona Olympics. He shared his experiences with DD India's Narayan Singh during the Paris Olympics.
Right now, I'm joined by Jörg Speicher, who is a pin collector since the Barcelona Olympics. He's continuously attending the games and trading the pins. He will share his experience with us. Speicher, a very warm welcome to our channel. Tell us something about your hobby, how it started, and how it has attracted you.
Well, I started in 1992 in Barcelona when I changed my first pin with a coach from Taiwan, and I'm collecting pins since then. It's a great hobby. It brings you together with people from all over the world, with the athletes, the delegates. You go to see nice places when you go to the Olympics. Yeah, when you go to all the cities. And it's just a huge hobby.
So it's a hobby, and you have, as you mentioned, that you have more than 40,000 spin. It's a huge number. So tell how it started and how you actually exchanging the pins with the fans, and some memorable moments regarding the sharing of pins during this adventure.
Sure. So I changed my first pin with a coach from Taiwan, and it's still one very emotional pin for me. It does not have a high value in money, but it's in my heart, you know. So it's a very nice pin. It looked a bit like this one. This is, let's say, the Taiwan pin from Calgary. So the Taiwan pins always look the same, and they're very special to me. But they're very nice pins in here. So there are pins from Moscow, 1988. Yeah, there are pins from Winter Games, from Lillehammer. There are pins here from Beijing Games, from the Winter Games. But all up over there are pins from Paris 2024.
So Speicher has all the pins since the 1992 Barcelona Games till the Paris Olympics. So it's a beautiful hobby, and the fans are also enjoying. Fans are coming to him and trading the pins. And it's the most important thing is that the games are not only about the sports, but such important fans who are continuously following the games and keeping the games and the sports alive. With camera person Senthil, Narayan Singh for DD India, Paris.
All right, that was an epic collection. And another epic fan is Faiz Ashraf Ali, a 37-year-old engineer from Kozhikode, Kerala, who completed an epic journey by bicycle. Starting on 1st of August 2022, he cycled over 18,000 miles through 40 countries, reaching Paris on July 25th, 2024. His adventure displays an incredible endurance and a passion for cycling, ending just in time for the 2024 Paris Olympic Games.
Fans are the integral parts of any sporting event, and because of these fans, we can say that the sports is there. And one such sportsman is with us, Faz, who is from Kerala. He traveled from Kerala to Paris on cycle just to witness the Olympic Games. Faz with us. Faz, a warm welcome. And what inspired you to come to Paris from Kerala, covering a long distance through bicycle? What's the inspiration behind this?
Actually, I'm engineer. I resigned my job and traveling around the world. This is my second project. First project, India to Singapore. This one, India to Paris Olympics for the Olympics. Actually, I have a health issue, thyroid problem. That's why I started cycling. Now it becomes a part of my life. I'm making a signature in this world before I leave.
What you witnessed here in Paris, you are a sports fan. You traveled a long distance to witness this grand event. So what you liked here?
Actually, this is my 36th country on bike. I traveled through India, Oman, UAE, Saudi, Qatar, Bahrain, Kuwait, Iraq, Iran, Armenia, Georgia, Turkey, Greece, North Macedonia, Serbia, Croatia, Slovenia, Hungary, Slovakia, Austria, Czech Republic, Poland, Germany, Denmark, Sweden, Norway, Netherlands, Belgium, UK, France. This is my final destination. After this, I'll fly back to India.
You can see that fans travel a long distance to watch the Paris Games, and these are the fans. Because of them, the sports is live, and these fans also inspires our athletes. So hoping that the story of fans will inspire many people. With camera person Senthil, Narayan Singh for DD India, Paris.
India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi extended his best wishes to the Indian contingent taking part in the Paris Olympics 2024. Prime Minister Modi on a social media platform wrote, and I quote him, "As the Paris Olympics commences, my best wishes to the Indian contingent. Every athlete is India's pride. May they all shine and embody the true spirit of sportsmanship, inspiring us with their exceptional performances." You're watching DD India News Hour. We're heading for a short break. But after the break, US Vice President Kamala Harris announces her candidacy for the presidential elections by signing the official forms. West Africa's regional bloc ECOWAS faces potential disintegration following the decisions of Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger to leave the group. Labrador City in Canada braves 11 active wildfires even as weather conditions increase the potential for more fire activity over the weekend.
Why is strategic autonomy such a fundamental pillar of Indian foreign policy? How is it manifesting in India's current diplomacy around the world? And what is the future of strategic autonomy as India rises to the status of a leading power in the world?
We are saying that it's not only about strategic autonomy of India, it's also about strategic autonomy of other nations, including Taiwan and Tibet. And that's where we are putting China into the spot.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. In the United States, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu met with Republican candidate for President Donald Trump on Friday, calling the relations good between the two. Israel's leader is wrapping up a week in the US, during which he pushed for continued support from Washington. DD India's Caroline Malone gets us more.
Well, Donald Trump pledged to work towards peace in the Middle East and to combat anti-Semitism. That on Friday after meeting with the Israeli leader Benjamin Netanyahu. And Netanyahu has been in talks with many different groups over this week. He met earlier in the week with President Joe Biden and then Vice President Kamala Harris, who of course is the likely candidate for the Democratic Party moving forward. You know, overall, it's a chance for Israel to continue to push to get support from the United States for its campaign, in particular against Hamas. In Netanyahu's wording to Congress on Wednesday, he was framing it as the US being the closest allies to Israel, needing Israel as an ally in the Middle East, and also the US and Israel having the same enemies. And so therefore any benefit, any win for Israel is also a win for the United States. But we also heard slightly different messaging from Harris and also from Trump in earlier interviews, Trump in particular saying he's keen to see an end to the war. He's keen to see the end of the fighting between Israel and Hamas. And Harris was saying much the same and going even further and saying she has very large concerns about the impact on the civilian population in Gaza. That's something that's been criticized by Trump and even some suggestion that it might impact any ceasefire talks. But ultimately, there does seem to be some agreement amongst most US leaders and potential future leaders here, which is that there needs to be a ceasefire, there needs to be a release of hostages, and that needs to happen sooner rather than later. Now, President Biden, of course, met with Netanyahu a few days ago. Now that he's not standing to be president again, analysts are saying it's an opportunity for him to have more capacity during his remaining time, 6 months in office, to focus on big foreign policy and domestic issues that include the Israel-Hamas war, with the US keen to continue to pursue peace talks and try to get ultimately to a ceasefire. Caroline Malone in Washington for DD India.
Former U.S. President and Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump addressed the audience at Turning Point Action's Believers Summit 2024 in West Palm Beach, Florida, and removed his bandage. Trump accused U.S. Vice President and likely Democrat candidate Kamala Harris of betraying Israel for not attending this week's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's address to Congress. The Republican candidate concluded by pledging to deport criminals and drug dealers, and he claimed Caracas have been turned into a crime-free city in Venezuela due to mass migration to the U.S. Trump warned Christian voters on Democrats' plan for Supreme Court.
Thank you very much, everybody. And I stand before you tonight thanks to the power of prayer and the grace of Almighty God. As I think you can see, I've recovered well and, in fact, just took off the last bandage off of my ear. I just got it off. Harris will appoint hundreds of extreme far-left judges to forcibly impose crazy San Francisco liberal values on Americans nationwide. She'll appoint hardcore Marxists to the Supreme Court to shred our Constitution on all of our religious liberty. She will do that absolutely. She will try as hard as she can to add as many justices as possible to the U.S. Supreme Court.
U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris announced her candidacy for the November 5th presidential elections by signing the official forms. Harris, the first black woman and first Asian American to serve as vice president, U.S. presidential is hopeful that Kamala Harris is set to head into a new week on the campaign trail with fresh endorsements from Barack and Michelle Obama. A handful of public opinion polls this week have shown her beginning to narrow Trump's lead. DD India's Mitch McCann gets us more from New York.
The Obamas had been a notable omission from Kamala Harris's long list of endorsements, the former president and First Lady choosing to remain impartial and wait until Harris gained enough support to be considered the presumptive nominee. In a video posted on Kamala Harris's social media pages, Harris answers a phone call from Barack and Michelle Obama. The former president says, "We called to say Michelle and I couldn't be prouder to endorse you and do everything we can to get you through this election and into the Oval Office." Then, in a later statement, the couple said they would, quote, "do everything we can to elect Kamala Harris as the next president of the United States." In the coming weeks, Harris is likely to be formalised as the party's nominee and will choose a vice presidential candidate and running mate. It's reported Harris is considering 12 contenders at the moment, but among the most being talked about are Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro, Arizona Senator Mark Kelly, and North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper. Meanwhile, it's still unclear if or when Kamala Harris and Donald Trump will be seen together on a debate stage. Donald Trump's campaign said it would be inappropriate to debate Harris as she is only the presumptive nominee, and Democrats may change their mind. Harris has suggested that Donald Trump and his team are backpedaling and that she's ready. Mitch McCann in New York reporting for DD India.
A surge of coups in West Africa in recent years has fractured regional unity. West Africa's regional bloc, ECOWAS, is facing potential disintegration following the decisions of Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger to leave the 15-member group, citing harsh sanctions imposed by ECOWAS as their reason for departure. DD India's correspondent Ajit Mangut gets us more.
ECOWAS, the economic community of West African states, has been facing significant challenges leading to its recent weakening. Analysts say ECOWAS troubles are rooted in questionable elections and bad governance in member countries, compounded by its harsh response to the recent coups in the region.
They failed to do peer review where they can sanction or urge member countries to improve their electoral process, democratic governance. The second one is the approach to engage those countries that stage coup or the military juntas.
The bloc had previously used military intervention effectively in the Gambia when Yahya Jammeh attempted to cling to power after losing the 2016 elections. The threat of using force before diplomacy this time had backfired, leading ECOWAS to change its strategy. At its 65th summit held in Abuja in early July, it appointed Senegal's President Bassirou Faye to mediate with Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger to convince them to remain in the bloc.
President of Senegal has indicated his acceptance to serve as facilitator for ECOWAS in our engagement with the 3 IOS countries. And this is in the spirit of engagement that our leaders believe should continue.
But as ECOWAS tries to tackle current challenges, analysts are advocating for a review of its operations, particularly the non-interference protocol.
Strengthen the institutions, democratic institutions across West African sub-region. The different pillars of ECOWAS must be made functional. And then this principle of non-interference, we need to have another look at it. If something is falling out of international good practices, we need to call our brother presidents and head of states to order early enough before, the situation will degenerate into crisis and then we'll have coup on our hands.
At its last meeting, ECOWAS called on member countries to pay their fees, promising the better running of the organization.
Also, Senegal's president says he's optimistic that his engagements with Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger as ECOWAS special envoy will result in bringing them back to ECOWAS within the next 6 months and strengthening the organization to better tackle its challenges. But analysts fear that this might be a tall order and unlikely for the nearly 50-year-old group to return to what it once was. Ajak Mangut in Abuja, reporting for DD India.
Former Mexican President Vicente Fox said that Venezuelan officials blocked the takeoff of a plane carrying former Latin American presidents traveling to Venezuela to observe Sunday's presidential election. Former Latin American presidents condemned the alleged blocking of their plane's takeoff from Panama to Caracas. They said the flight was denied permission to take off due to alleged blockade of Venezuelan airspace. Meanwhile, Venezuela's State Aerospace Authority and Transportation Minister denied the claim and shared photos of Copa Airlines operating in Venezuelan airspace. Among the passengers on the plane, along with Fox, were Panama's Mireya Moscoso, Costa Rica's Miguel Angel Rodriguez, and Bolivia's Jorge Quirego. You're watching DD India News Hour. We're heading for a short break, but after the break, several people fear trapped as 3-storied building collapses in Navi Mumbai's Shahbaz village. Rescue operations on. Revised NEET UG 2024 results announced. 17 students achieve a perfect score. Alarming reduction in water levels witnessed across several water bodies in Kashmir as the heaven on earth swelters under a scorching heat wave.
This summer, the world turns its eyes to Paris, and DD India brings you every heartbeat, every victory, and every story. Introducing our special coverage of the Paris Olympics. Experience the passion, the drama, and the triumphs. With exclusive reports, expert analysis, and up-to-the-minute updates. Join us as we bring the spirit of the Olympics to your screens.
Get ready for the ultimate sporting extravaganza on DD India.
DD India presents Champions Day Paris. Only on DD India. Every day at 6:30 p.m. IST, 1 p.m. GMT.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. A quick relook at the top stories once again. Paris Olympics gets off to a glittering start with grand opening ceremony at Seine River. 10,500 athletes to compete in 329 medal events over 15 days. Indian athletes to be in action today in shooting, badminton, tennis and hockey. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu meets Republican candidate for President Donald Trump in Florida. Calls relations good between the two. Trump calls Harris's remarks on Gaza conflict disrespectful. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi to chair federal policy think tank NITI Aayog's 9th Governing Council meeting on Saturday to focus on Viksit Bharat 2047 document to make India a developed nation. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar holds meetings with counterparts on sidelines of ASEAN, says political, economic and security cooperation with ASEAN is of the utmost priority. Nation remembers Missile Man of India and People's President Bharat Ratna Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam on his 9th death anniversary. The ASEAN group of countries held post-ministerial conferences on Friday with Britain, Russia and South Korea as part of the ASEAN foreign ministers' meetings in Laos. Among other things, they spoke about the progress they have made in their relations with the Southeast Asian grouping. The meetings in the Laotian capital seek to advance a stalled bid to resolve a crisis in Myanmar and cool tensions in the South China Sea. Earlier, Laos's Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister welcomed the delegates before presenting the host country's traditional cuisine and cultural performances on Friday. 2 summits will be held on Saturday to address key global issues. These will be attended by countries and entities such as the US, Japan and the EU. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar called on Lao PDR Prime Minister along with fellow foreign ministers in Laos on Saturday morning. He conveyed the warm greetings of India's Prime Minister. Both the leaders discussed development, partnership and cooperation in defence, heritage, conservation, energy, digital and capacity building between the two countries. Dr. S. Jaishankar said that he values his counterparts' guidance on further strengthening their close ties and are deeply rooted in shared civilizational connect. Dr. S. Jaishankar said India fully supports Lao PDR's chairship of the ASEAN and East Asia Summit. Dr. S. Jaishankar also met with Foreign Minister of Turkey, Hakan Fidanon, on the sidelines of ASEAN. They discussed bilateral ties and exchanged views on regional and global issues. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar held meetings with his counterparts from South Korea, Indonesia, Singapore, Malaysia and the European Union on the sidelines of ASEAN events in Laos on Friday. He also met Cho Tae-yul, the Foreign Minister of Republic of Korea, and held a wide-ranging conversation on special strategic partnership. He also met Josep Borrell Fontelles, the High Representative of the European Union for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy. The leaders discussed enhancing India-EU ties in areas of trade, clean energy transition and advanced technologies. The External Affairs Minister held conversation with Singapore Foreign Minister Vivian Balakrishnan. Both the leaders spoke about creating a new agenda for our bilateral ties. The Foreign Minister also met Indonesian Foreign Minister Retno Marsudi. He congratulated her stint as the Foreign Minister and appreciated her contribution towards India-Indonesia and India-ASEAN relations. Dr. S. Jaishankar also met Malaysian Foreign Minister Muhammad Haji Hassan and discussed the initiatives in the bilateral relationship between the two nations. Also earlier in the day, External Affairs Minister met his Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov on the sidelines of the ASEAN events in Laos on Friday. The picture was shared by the Russian embassy in India. In his remarks in the ASEAN post-ministerial conference, Dr. S. Jaishankar said that political, economic and security cooperation with ASEAN is of utmost priority. He said that for India, ASEAN is the cornerstone of its Act East policy, the Indo-Pacific vision that was built on it and the people-to-people linkages that India is constantly seeking to expand. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken arrived in Laos People's Democratic Republic for ASEAN post-ministerial conference. Blinken on Saturday met with Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister and reaffirmed U.S. support for enhancing regional connectivity and resilience. Both the leaders discussed the deepening of the U.S.-Laos comprehensive partnership.
We want to make sure that the comprehensive strategic partnership that we have with ASEAN really fully takes flight, and we're working very hard on that. But I also couldn't be more pleased to be here in Laos in terms of our own partnership and bilateral relationship. And as you said, we very much look forward to continuing to deepen it, to strengthen it, and to work with you. And I also want to thank you for the work that Laos has done on the VCOM-US partnership. And
all right, our correspondent Jessica Tanisha joins us with more. Jessica, good morning. Now, we've just given a broad outline of the bilateral meetings which the External Affairs Minister had with other leaders on the sidelines of ASEAN. You get us more on India's participation at the forum, and how far will India's participation at this forum help in strengthening India's Act East policy?
Well, it's been 10 years to the Act East policy. Remember, earlier it was Look East policy, and giving it a bit more heft. The Prime Minister in 2014 had announced that it is going to prioritize on the Act East policy and also neighborhood first policy. So looking at the current developments, as you pointed out in the report earlier, where the External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar held meetings with various ASEAN leaders and their foreign ministers, particularly with the Lao Prime Minister recently. In that, the External Affairs Minister had taken up a vast range of issues and also talked about cyber crimes and how both the countries can cooperate, and of course a lot of illegal activities that have been initiated due to those crimes where Indians have been caught in the fray as well. So of course that was a crucial point to discuss, and how that can be eased out in the near future. Looking at the other meetings that the External Affairs Minister has had in the last few days, as he has been in Laos to strengthen the India-ASEAN relationship. Now currently the India-ASEAN free trade area, which has completed almost more than a decade now, you'd see that it has grown in trade, but the trade imbalance still needs to be addressed, and India feels that there are points and places where it does need to be corrected and worked out. There have been discussions with various foreign ministers on the sidelines as well. And if you see the kind of engagements India has been holding at the ASEAN nations, it is only strengthening what was already before in terms of the bilateral relationship, while also stressing a lot on the security and economic cooperation, particularly when it comes to a free and open Indo-Pacific strategy where there is a rules-based order. Now, if you look at the concerns of the ASEAN nations at this point, of course Myanmar being one of them, the coup in Myanmar and Aung San Suu Kyi was ousted in 2021, and the country continues to simmer with a civil war, and thousands, approximately more than 5,000 people have died and more than 25,000 injured, and about 3 million people displaced in Myanmar. So that is a major concern for ASEAN nations. Apart from that, China's expansionist activities in the South China Sea are of major concern, particularly for Vietnam, for Philippines. So these discussions also happening on the sideline, but for India's concern, India has made it clear that it wants to continue to do more business and hopefully have more cooperation in areas of cybersecurity, climate action, technology, in order to further enhance the bilateral trade between India and ASEAN nations.
All right, Jessica, we leave it here. Thank you so much for joining in with that elaborate analysis and those details. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi will chair the 9th NITI Aayog Governing Council meeting in New Delhi on Saturday, focusing on Viksit Bharat 2047 vision. The meeting aims to make India a developed nation by 2047 through collaborative governance with the theme Viksit Bharat at 2047. Now, this meeting aims to foster participative governance and collaboration between centre and state governments. There will be discussion on approach paper for vision document on Viksit Bharat 2047 and deliberations on role of states in achieving the goal. As India targets to become 30 trillion economy by 2047, this meeting will create roadmap for Viksit Bharat vision through centre-state teamwork. The focus will be on the recommendations from 3rd National Conference of Chief Secretaries held in December 2023. Also, this meeting will have discussions on ease of living, drinking water, electricity, health, schooling, land and property, cybersecurity, aspirational districts, AI in governance, among other topics. Arun Sharma is joining us on phone line. Arun, we've just given a broad outline of the issues wherein the discussions will take place, and Prime Minister will be chairing the 9th NITI Aayog Governing Council meeting with an idea to move forward in achieving the idea of Viksit Bharat by 2047. You spell out more details. What more can you add?
Well, Preeti, the focus of the meeting is on the fact that how can states and centre can come together to achieve this goal of becoming a developed nation by 2047. And of course, we know this fact that this is the 9th Governing Council meeting, but the base of this meeting, the broad agenda of this meeting was prepared in 2023, December 2023, when the chief secretaries did attend the meeting under the ambit of national conference, and the broad ideas and agenda of this meeting were deliberated at that point in time. So now the key focus area is how can inclusive development can be ensured, and of course how can ease of living to the people of India can be provided. There are various subsets in the meeting that includes electricity, that includes better infrastructure, that also includes the quality education, the healthcare facilities, and last but not the least, the AI topic or the AI domain will also be touched upon because of the fact the way AI is getting included in the lives of the people. How can the state and center can create an ecosystem? How can AI become a collaborative partner, or can become a multiplier in the developmental goal that India is aiming to achieve? Also, after the budget announcement, the kind of reform push that the government is focusing upon, how can states add to it? And the key to it is how can states ensure that speedy implementation of the policies can be done. For instance, when it comes to providing water to all from tap at home, the initiative is Nal Se Jal. Under the ambit, how can states contribute and ensure that the people in their respective states can get the tap water, as soon as possible? Almost 60 to 70% of the target has been achieved so far. A similar fashion, the national education policy, that has been, launched by the government. But yes, how can various states they can come forward and they can launch the various subsets and in the contours of the education policy. That's the focus area. So yes, the broad idea is how can center and state collaborate to achieve the Viksit Bharat or a developed nation by 2047.
All right, Arun, we'll leave it here. Thank you for joining in with those details. And turning focus to other updates from the country, a 3-storied building collapsed in Navi Mumbai Shahbaz village, where several people are feared trapped. Authorities, including the police, fire brigades and NDRF are present at the spot. So far, 2 persons have been rescued alive and 1 more is suspected to be trapped. Rescue operations are underway. India remembers its former President of India, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, popularly known as the Missile Man of India, on his 9th death anniversary on Saturday. Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam left an unforgettable mark on India with his highly renowned contributions to science and technology, inspirational leadership and humble behavior. Observing Dr. Kalam's 9th death anniversary in 2024 is a great opportunity for every individual to reflect on his life and achievements. The Central Reserve Police Force, or the CRPF, is celebrating its 86th Raising Day on 27th of July. This special day honors the significant and unmatched contribution of the force in safeguarding unity, integrity and sovereignty of our country. On this momentous occasion, the CRPF is paying homage to its brave martyrs and reaffirming its unwavering dedication towards protecting the nation. Taking to X, CRPF said, and I quote, CRPF on 27th of July, the Indian Army is celebrating its glorious history of the last 85 years, filled with valor, courage, sacrifice and devotion to duty. Heartiest greetings to all the force personnel and their families on the 86th CRPF Foundation Day. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi also on Saturday extended greetings to all the brave hearts of the Central Reserve Police Force, that is CRPF, on their Raising Day, and said the nation greatly appreciates their courage, dedication and selfless service. Prime Minister Modi on a social media post said, and I quote him, on the occasion of their Raising Day, my greetings to all CRPF India personnel. Their unwavering dedication and relentless service to the nation are truly commendable. They have always stood for the highest standards of courage and commitment. Their role in keeping our nation safe is also paramount. A quick look at other stories making it to the headlines from across India. Pakistan's border action team's action has been foiled by alert Indian Army troops this morning in Kamakari sector of Kupwara in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. 1 Pakistani has been killed while 5 personnel have suffered injuries in the ensuing operations. Further details are awaited. The NTA released the revised NEET UG 2024 results, with 17 students achieving a perfect score, marking a 75% drop in the number of toppers from the earlier declared results. The current heat wave gripping Kashmir has resulted in a significant reduction in water levels across several key water bodies, sparking concern among environmentalists, local communities and government officials. This heat wave has accelerated the evaporation process, causing critical water bodies such as Dal Lake, Wooler Lake and the Jhelum River to see a sharp decline in water levels. All right, let's get to you weather updates from across the world now. Massive wildfire engulfs Canada's Shetland Creek. Raging wildfire has devastated the Western Canadian tourist town of Jasper, potentially destroying up to 50% of the structures, the authorities said. There are currently 176 wildfires burning in Alberta. Around 10 of those blazes are close to the border with British Columbia. Authorities say the fire has the potential to grow significantly closer to Labrador West. China's government is calling on municipalities to prepare for Tropical Storm Gemi, which is heading inland. The storm has already killed dozens of people in Taiwan and the Philippines and is now set to bring heavy rainfall to already badly flooded regions of China. DD India's Chris Gilbert gets us more from Tokyo.
Affected 630,000 households as it made landfall on the Fujian coast of China on Friday. About half of that number were requested to relocate or evacuate or find shelter from the storm surges, from the deluges and from the severe winds of up to 100 kilometers an hour and from the heavy rainfall of an accumulated 250 millimeters for that part of China. And while it was severe, it was significantly weakened from Thursday when it hit Taiwan with almost twice as strong winds of more than 205 kilometers an hour sustained gusts and almost 2 meters of accumulated rainfall hitting Taiwan throughout Thursday. However, the danger is not over. The storm is now heading into the central area of China. It is bringing this rainfall with it, and this is a part of the country which has already been strongly affected, significantly affected by weeks of summer rains. These are parts of the country like in Jiangxi province which have already been elevated to the orange alert. That's the second highest out of 4 alert levels for flooding risk and dangers. There is the highest amount of flooding and river levels in the region on record of 15 meters, and the central government in China has held an emergency meeting on flooding to evaluate the danger and call on local municipalities as the storm approaches to work to prevent rivers from breaching, prevent reservoirs from collapsing, and to save as many lives as possible, as Gemi has already claimed lives throughout the Philippines and throughout Taiwan, and China's central government certainly wants to prevent any more fatalities if it can possibly do so. The storm is heading for Shanxi province, which is home to the largest freshwater lake in China, and so with the risk of those banks bursting, with the risk of flooding and heavy rain in the future, even though the storm has weakened since it hit Taiwan, the danger has certainly not passed for China. Chris Gilbert in Tokyo reporting for DD India.
The US and Brazilian governments announced a climate partnership agenda on Friday, seeking to deepen the ties on an issue they saw as key but treated as secondary by opposition in both the countries. Speaking on the sidelines of G20 finance leaders meeting in Rio de Janeiro, US Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen said that advancing work on climate and on nature and biodiversity can bring benefits not only to both of our economies but also to the region and to the global economy.
Bilaterally and multilaterally to address today's most pressing environmental challenges and strengthen the region's green economy. Our work will be focused in 4 key areas. First, we intend to bolster our clean energy supply chains, including by developing policy tools that crowd in private sector investment. Second, we intend to support efforts to improve the integrity and effectiveness of voluntary carbon markets.
The Eiffel Tower lit up in red, blue and white colors as the Olympic Games opening ceremony wrapped up, marking the official start of the world-class tournament. Take a look. All right, that's it in this edition of DD India News Hour. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those of you on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. This app is available on both Android and iOS platforms, and you can scan the respective QR codes on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti Kaur signing off, and from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.